So, the community update for Dying Light 2 dropped last week, and there's quite a bit to discuss. I have a bit I like, and a bit that can be improved on, so let's talk. Just a heads up, I'll only discuss the things that are on the top of my list, at the very least. For other stuff, just check in the link in the description. First, the one that is kind of controversial in my mind, weapon repairing. Now you can repair weapons an unlimited amount of times, so long as you have a craft master nearby and have the necessary items for the weapon before it's destroyed. Now, the benefits that come with this update aren't what I have an issue with. It's the Korek Charm rework that I have a bit of a bone to pick, admittedly. Now, the Korek Charm will increase weapon damage when the durability is at 15%, whereas when you applied it before the update, you regain 500 durability, basically capping it up to max. This I'm not a fan of because repairing on the fly is now something that only the first game has, whereas this isn't really an option anymore in Dying Light 2, unfortunately, but still, I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. Next, enemies dropping their weapons could prove some pretty cool moments. It's almost like improvising if you're using fists, and it may be expanded on further. Maybe doing a finisher on them could have you stealing their weapon or something. Yes, you heard me right. Finishers are now in the game, allowing for more variation in visceral takedowns. This may be a hit or miss, given that endgame players won't really see these finishers unless they're on New Game Plus maybe, but it's still cool to have. And the update states that they wish to expand on them further, so who knows, maybe they can refine this a little bit. Talking more about weapons, mods can now be dismantled, as well as equipment, so now you can earn a few more resources instead of simply getting coin, even though that is still an option. On top of this, knives are now included, though the easiest one to get I'll expand on in a bit. Survivor tools of the trade aren't the only things that they've built upon. Howlers are now as prominent in the day as they were in the early Dying Light 2 days, and now Virals will be attracted to Howlers when they scream. This will be helpful for those that want safer alternatives to grinding trophies in the night or in Dark Hollows or Forsaken Sword. Jerry anomalies are now replayable, which may be hard to take care of when you start the update, as I found all the ones I did disappeared off my map until I went to them, but they can still prove pretty useful. They've also added more armored zombies, and introduced an electric type, and the toxic type is now more prominent. I do have an issue with the armored zombies, however, as there is a very noticeable ricochet when using blunt weapons, kicks, or knuckle dusters. I think leaving them vulnerable to these specific attacks would allow for more niche roles and weapons, and make them less of a headache, because right now they are pretty terrible to deal with. I also believe that the electric type may have been a bit too subtle in their design, but that may be me ignoring the color association that they're using to signal the enemy, so we'll call it a non-issue. I also think that adding a fire type would be cool, especially given how some renegades would spit fire to attack. And this is made by Techland after all, for the people that developed Dead Island 2, so just a thought. Another fantastic addition, however, is now possible to get legend levels with trophies. This is very cool, as leveling up just became a lot more quicker and interesting. In that case, having over 500 large trophies just stuck up my ass and not doing much with them is no longer an issue. I will speak of something a little peculiar, and I don't see this in the community notes at all. And this may also have to do with the event that's going on, so do take it with a grain of salt. But as I was playing, and I hope I can find footage for this, I would have a blood lens effect on my screen, as one would expect from hitting enemies, and the screen would also be tinted. I think this is a camouflage effect that's being officially added, and it was really bizarre to see this, but I hope that they can make this a feature that you can make active. Maybe something like blocking and using the button for consumables on an enemy that you can loot would be a good solution on this. Now, there's a ton of things that they've added as well, but the last one I'll talk about is the Hallows Eve event. This added Baka the Unfortunate back, which is conceptually hilarious, and a ton of cool things are here. There is a bit of a grind to this event, and most of the rewards are masks, but the real standout rewards are the weapons. Those are the Venom Sting and the Nightmare Claws. The Venom Sting is the weapon I alluded to earlier. As I said, it was the easiest knife to get, which is kind of true, since you will need to level up with Baka up to level 5, but the reward is the weapon Blueprint, which is freaking awesome.
Those renegades scare the shit out of me.
The Nightmare Claw, guess where it comes from, is at rank 6, and I also love this weapon. Maybe it's the one that I use more often than most other weapons that I have now.
Folks hadn't made me pissed.
I love how it's a pretty unique weapon in comparison to the Knuckle Dusters, where they stay on the character model even when you're free roaming, so long as they are equipped. One could scoff at the fact that Aiden shouldn't technically be able to clutch his hands when performing certain animations with it, but it would be tedious to have an entire animation set just to restrict what his hands can do, so I'm not going to hate. Take it from somebody that's taking an animation class right now. Baka's presence also allows for the grinding of trophies, and don't let the icons alone deceive you. Redeeming for small trophies gives you 18, 12 for medium, and 5 for large. This is great, and it allows for some insane grinding for weapon and equipment upgrades, or even legend leveling. So if you have Dying Light 2 and have yet to get started, or have yet to grind for some good equipment, now's the time. Now, I have been pretty positive about this update, and it shows that Techland really cares about their player base. But I have issues that could be addressed. First, there was an instance where I took damage after getting caught by a volatile. By that I mean, immediately after the pounce I still took damage. Which doesn't seem to be that common, but from what I could tell, you need to have iframes after the initial pounce, aka while you're prone on the ground from the volatile pounce. So this is a bit of a problem. Along with the hack's unusual resistance to the attacks that is dealt to her, and also the grappling hook yank, the enemy one for the final upgrade. That doesn't work on the hag at all, which is weird considering that she's supposed to be lightweight and using her speed and height to get an advantage, which would make her weak in turn, but maybe they can take care of that later. Another issue is something that they haven't fixed yet, which is when you're yanking yourself up to some random spot with the grappling hook, and you do a jump input within a certain amount of time, you just freeze in midair, which will immediately halt your movement. And it's been an issue for a while because even while being fully aware of this, right now I still find myself doing it, and it's just something that I didn't want to get used to, but it's there. But something that isn't a technical issue, even though I think it should be looked into for weapon balance, changing the charge attacks of Knuckle Dusters and Nightmare Claws, or at least tweaking this. For this specific point, I'll point a finger at Cyberpunk 2077 for a brief moment. I think what CD Projekt Red did with the Mantis arms, where charging will make the player dash forward for an empowered attack, should be implemented here, which would further add to this niche thing that I've hinted at earlier. There are a few more things for enemies though. First, I think amputations shouldn't outright kill enemies, since I think reducing a zombie's max health depending on certain libs being removed, or even disabled would be cool, but I understand that this could require a bit of a rework in their design. There's also something that I think would be cool, save for the fact that Smash could become completely obsolete. And this is letting weapons be used in Smash for a faster recovery at the cost of more durability. Think the durability cost when you throw weapons. I think blocking and charging an attack in midair could be a good way to include it in the control scheme, and it might make things feel a little cluttered, but things are already pretty complex. Next, enemy collision could be something that could be improved on, specifically the damage dealt when you're throwing someone. I think when enemies get thrown into a wall, or a playground, or a bench, or a tree, they should take maybe half the damage of a dropkick and balance things out a little bit. And the last thing for zombies is more of an interactivity thing, but having some of them feast on human enemies that are freshly killed would be awesome for immersion. They are zombies after all, and except for an animation that I saw where a zombie is reaching for a hanging body, they don't really do much. And there's only one other instance where you can see a zombie eating a person, but it's kind of a static thing, which is unfortunate. There isn't really anything I could say for the humans in this game that could be improved on, honestly. Maybe having more patrols in the city would be cool. Seeing tensions on the streets between the survivors and peacekeepers rise, especially after reaching the central loop in the game or even the mission broadcast. And maybe someone that acts as a Night Runner would be awesome. It's believed that after the BNC Tower event, all but 2 Night Runners in the game were killed, but I feel it unlikely that no one else would try their best to imitate them, apart from aiding them on. Well, now that I think about it, having a patrol or escort encounter where you need to lead survivors back to a UV zone or a safe zone would also add to the game, especially for that fucking trophy that they've got. And the last issue that I can think of, and this is only because I'm playing on PS5, but the trigger resistance being the same as the RC, or the same as the remote explosive, even though you switch to the grappling hook. It's a little annoying, and I've gotten a little used to that, but it'd be awesome if there was a fix. But that's all I have. I will certainly keep playing this game, and I highly anticipate the updates that come in the future, as this proves to me that despite the hot water that Techland might have found themselves in, they are still swimming just fine, and so am I. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around. Okay, so just for a bit of context here, I actually recorded this a few days ago at the time of this, and I was very curious of where I left the original file for this, but I couldn't find it anywhere for some reason, which was really annoying, so I had to record this when I woke up, or at least sometime after I woke up. But if you made it this far, then I'll just talk about some brief things, since I haven't done an update in a minute, and I thought it'd be cool to. Though I'm in a bit of turbulent ground at the moment because I'm not handling myself too well in college, admittedly. My grades are doing just fine. I want to make that clear, but it feels like I don't give myself time to do what I need to. I just give myself time to relax, which, if you're at all logical, I guess, you know that in the short term, if you relax, you'll stress in the long term, and if you stress in the short term, then you'll relax. Then you'll relax in the long term. So that's something that I kind of have to get together, especially because it's the end of the semester very soon, like in about another 4 weeks. I'll be on my break for the season. I don't know, it just feels like I haven't been doing much for myself academically lately. Kinda sucks. But also, a few days from now, it's gonna be my birthday, so I'm gonna need to crunch as much as I can so that I can make sure I can just have a whole day to myself, because I say a lot that I give myself a lot of time to relax, but right now it's just stuff about relaxing after a day of work, or before a day of work, or even before or after college stuff. I don't have days off, or at least I don't count them as days off if I can't relax from school and work in the same day. So that's another thing, and that's probably about it. Apart from the fact that I have closet doors now, thanks Dad and Mom. Just doing things, just writing things out and seeing where I go from there. But yeah, that's about it. I'll see everybody around, and we'll see what the future holds for me.